himself.
What's good, everybody? Let's talk some Tampa sports. I got my energy back. It's been a couple days, you lose, you're standing in the end zone, you watch it doink off the crossbar, go in through the goalposts, and you suffer that night, you struggle that morning, even most of that day, but hey, you can't dwell on things that are out of your control. It's not healthy. So here we are. We've accepted that the offseason is here, and we are talking about the Buccaneers' three biggest needs. No, that does not include a new head coach. Three biggest positional needs going into this year's free agency. As you can see down below here, defense. That is what is going to be. I think we can all agree on that, right? Defense. Like if they just go a full defensive draft, I will not be upset. But looking at free agency here and positions, yes, the defense in general needs better depth. But these three positions, they need immediate upgrades. It needs depth, but it needs immediate starters, upgrades, all of the above. With how young this team is, the second youngest team in the NFL, we saw last year how important depth is, as if we didn't already know. But with those injuries, it just exploits that so much. When a guy goes down, who you bring up next? You never had cap space the last few years for veteran guys to play those depth roles. It's an undrafted rookie or a practice squad guy. So the first position we're going to talk about, and it's been probably, in my opinion, their biggest need for the last couple years now, that is an edge rusher. An elite edge rusher. Oh my goodness, what that would do to this defense and how it could transform this defense. It's needed so bad. Got the Bucs depth chart pulled up right now. So on one side, you have Yaya Diaby, who definitely, I don't think, lived up to everyone's expectations this year. This 4.5 sacks number, I think we all expected a little bit more than that. Yes, he did get a lot of pressures. He did indeed get a lot of pressures, but finishing those pressures, turning those into sacks, he did struggle with and did have, I think, a 3-sack drop-off from his rookie year. And we got to remember, his rookie year, he didn't start until like week 9 or week 10. So only having 4.5 sacks, I know Yaya, he wants more than that, and the fan base, coaches all want and expect more from that. Run defense, setting the edge, Yaya was fantastic this year. I will absolutely give him his props there. But that pass rush is really the reason edge is a need, because we need better pass rush. We got the run defense. We need an edge guy that can just tee off and get to the quarterback, get double-digit sacks. We need that. So the depth at that position goes Yaya, of course, Anthony Nelson, who had a solid year, and Jose Ramirez pretty much sat on the practice squad the entire season. Other side, you got Joe Tryon-Shoyinka. I think that is wraps for Joe. I don't think he'll be back next season unless it is an extremely team-friendly deal. He just hasn't shown it to us. He's had plenty of time to do it. 2 sacks all season long. It's just, unfortunately, not good enough for the former first-round pick. Behind him, Shaquille Barrett. They've made it pretty clear that they brought on Shaquille Barrett late this season, not to make an impact this season, but to get with the team, get things down, and go into next season being on the team. So Shaq Barrett, interested to see how things go during the offseason for him. Obviously getting further up there in age. He's at 32, which is not terrible. Some of these free agents we're about to look at here in a minute are older than Shaq Barrett. So, yeah, if they're highly coveted, I mean, Shaq Barrett, if he can get back healthy, obviously spent a lot of time off, I think he still has some left in the tank. And then the second round pick, Chris Braswell, did not play too much this season, just spent most of the year as a backup role. But, I mean, he was a second round pick. I did expect to see a lot more from him during the season, I can't lie, but he spent most of the year as a backup, as a rotational guy, and that leads to 1.5 sacks in his first year. So here we go. This is the 2025 top edge free agents. Up first, you got Josh Sweat. He's going to be the top guy. He's going to get paid the most. 28 years old, right there in the prime of his career, having a good year with Philadelphia. Number 2, what I was talking about with Shaq Barrett. Khalil Mack, he's 34 years old, still getting it done. Is he that, just tee off edge rush guy that he used to be? No, but he is still a pretty physical run stopper. I'd say right now, pretty similar to a Yaya Diaby. I like Khalil Mack. I like what he can bring with experience to the room. He is an upgrade over Jotron Shawinka pass rush wise. But I'm looking for that tee off guy. I'm looking for that. DeMarcus Lawrence, another veteran there from the Cowboys, did miss this season though. Chase Young didn't really do anything with the Saints. I don't know if I agree with him at 4. Dante Fowler, that's a sneaky one that I would actually like. 10.5 sacks this season for the Washington Commanders. Interested to see how much he'll command. 31 years old. That's one I like. And the last guy we'll talk about here, we're not going to go through every single one. We got plenty of time to talk, guys. We got plenty of time to talk. But just some of the top guys. Deo, we'll call him here. He did have 12 sacks in 2023. In 2024, he did have a bit of a drop-off, though. Only 3 sacks. But the fact that he had 12 sacks in a season, he's only 25 years old. I feel like this could be one of those Shaq Barrett finds, in my opinion. Showing the potential, got 12 sacks in a season. This year, he had that drop-off. Does that mean he's not going to command very much money? This could be a pretty good move for the Bucs to make if it doesn't cost much. If you're like, well, he only had 3 sacks, how much money do you think you're going to make coming off of a 3-sack season? You know what I'm saying? I think this is a sleeper for the Bucs right there. Next up, linebacker, inside linebacker specifically. A lot of questions. Levante David, will he be back next season? Nobody knows. I don't think he even knows right now, and that's something we're going to have to wait on. Next to him would be Servassier Dennis coming off an injury. Absolutely love what I saw from Servassier Dennis early on in this season before the injury. Excited to see what he can bring next year. But there's still a big question in depth there. Because we saw Levante's getting up there in age, and then Dennis went down with injuries. He's had injuries in the past. It's kind of been a thing for him early on in his career. Hopefully he can kind of change that narrative. But KJ Britt, JJ Russell, do we want to do that again? Do we want to do that again with how open and exposed the middle of the field was all season long? I'm not interested. I'm not. So right now, we're looking at KJ Britt, then Deion Jones, which I think did show some promise late in the season once he got Todd Bowles' defense down and did start. Nearly had an interception against Jaden Daniels. How old is he? 30 years old. I think that's definitely worth bringing back. He's not going to cost anything at all. That's worth it right there, in my opinion, for a depth piece. But other side, it's Levante David and JJ Russell. I think there needs to be an upgrade here, whether it is in free agency, getting a true pass coverage linebacker. It's necessary. So let's go ahead and go down to your linebackers here. Zach Bond, get him out of the question. He's going to re-sign with Philadelphia, an absolute stud. First-team All-Pro in his first season as an off-ball linebacker. Ridiculous. This guy right here, Terrell Dodson, I wanted him very badly when the Seahawks released him. Seahawks were going through their own thing in the middle of the season. They could not stop the run. They could not stop the run at all. Terrell Dodson is a pass coverage linebacker. Stud pass coverage linebacker. 27 years old, prime of his career. That fits the Buccaneers right there. That fits what the Buccaneers need. All that open space in the middle of the field, tight ends, just slants, crossing routes, getting behind them. That's a pass coverage linebacker right there. That's my guy. Robert Spillane, solid linebacker, but I don't think he exactly fits what the Buccaneers are looking for. He'll get you a ton of tackles, but I don't think that's what we're looking for. KJ Britt can get you a bunch of tackles. Nick Bolton spent a lot of time with Kansas City. Been pretty solid for them. Ernest Jones and Jerome Baker, both guys that have been traded, getting around with new teams. Okay options there. I think your flyer on this one is going to be Dre Greenlaw from the San Francisco 49ers. They have him at 8th on this list. Obviously was a baller 2022 and 2023, and then tore that Achilles, and just trying to find a way to get back up to speed. Last but not least, the third position I think the Bucs need to target is corner. Zion McCollum, pretty up and down year. His first season as a full-time starter, I think it was solid. Like I said, up and down. I don't exit the season being like, Zion did not look that good, or Zion looked fantastic. It's kind of right there in the middle. There were some ups and downs, some really good stretches that really showed his potential, and then some down plays. So, other side, Jamel Dean. It's tough. Really good guy. Has been really good for this team at times when you look in the past when he's been at his healthy points in his career, but he just cannot stay on the field at all. And then Jamel Dean playing through injury is just not good enough to be a cornerback too, in my opinion. And he's always playing through injury or out because he's injured. It's a big contract. I don't know who's going to want to pick that up. I don't think we'll get a similar situation to Carlton Davis where we get a third-round pick. I don't think that's going to happen, but I think the Bucs need a new cornerback too. As for their depth there, I mean, Josh Hayes and Funderburg getting play time, I mean, it was good for them and their experience and progression as young players, but they're not the upgrade, in my opinion. I will say, Bryce Hall is someone that I was really excited for this season, and his season ending in the first half of the first game of the season really sucked because he was the guy. Jamel Dean, you get injured a lot. Let's have this pretty good cornerback 3 right behind him. So if and when that does happen, you get Bryce Hall. Good backup. And that, unfortunately, did not work out. He would have played such a massive role for this team this season. Outside of that injury, man, that would have been a big deal. He did only sign a 1-year deal, so it is possible the Buccaneers bring him back. Obviously, injury matters. The progression of the injury matters. The treatment, all that stuff. That's all behind closed doors. I have no idea. Well, I think we can all skip number 1 on this list. The Buccaneers are not going to be bringing Carlton Davis back. DJ Reed does play opposite of Sauce Gardner. Pretty good corner there in the prime of his career. Other guys I'd be able to take a chance on, Charvarius Ward, another guy from the 49ers in that prime of his career, coming off a year with injuries, potentially not costing as much as he would have without injuries. Byron Murphy, I'm a fan of his. He is a playmaker, which the Buccaneers do not have. 27 years old on that Vikings defense, 6 interceptions. Looked really good at times this season when watching the Vikings. And then Asante Samuel Jr., I'll say, is a guy that fits Todd Bowles, that big corner, 180 pounds, but he did miss some time, unfortunately. So those are the guys I'll call out here for the cornerback position. Like I said, I do like Byron Murphy. Playmaker, is Bowles willing to move off of his, I like these tall, stocky corners that can run fast? Because Byron Murphy, he was a nickel guy, and then he moved outside, played really well for the Vikings, getting those 6 interceptions. Is he Todd Bowles' guy, though? So those are 3 positions. Early in the offseason, just a quick look. Some of those names, just flashing those. We'll talk about them more as the offseason goes forward and we get closer and closer to that free agency period, draft. Those are the positions, in my opinion, that the Buccaneers need immediate upgrades ASAP. That's going to be it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please leave your comments and feedback down below. Do you agree with the 3 positions that I gave you or not? And are there some guys that I may have missed that fit these 3 positions that I did not check out and should going into the offseason this year? So once again, thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe. Go Bucs, and y'all have a blessed one.
Hey, hey, Tampa Bay.